What if the person who seemed distant was not losing interest at all, but quietly struggling with feelings they never expected to have? What if the silence, the confusion, and the emotional distance were not signs that they stopped caring, but signs that something deeper was happening inside them? Sometimes the strongest connections are the ones that awaken emotions a person has spent years trying to control. They do not simply become attracted to you in a casual way. They do not just admire your presence or enjoy your company. Something about you reaches a deeper place within them, a place they have protected, hidden, and avoided for a long time. And the most powerful part is that it was not because you tried to impress them, chase them, or force a connection. It happened because of certain qualities within you that touched their heart in a way they did not expect. Maybe you noticed the way they looked at you when they thought you were not watching. Maybe you felt the shift in their energy when they were near you. There were moments when they seemed completely present, emotionally open, and deeply connected, and then suddenly they became quiet, distant, or difficult to understand. That change can leave you questioning everything, wondering how someone can feel so close in one moment and so far away in another. The truth is that love does not always create immediate comfort. Sometimes, real emotional connection brings hidden fears to the surface and reveals feelings a person has spent years avoiding. When someone truly starts falling for you, especially someone who has built emotional walls, they do not only feel attraction, they feel vulnerability, exposure, and the fear of allowing someone close enough to truly see them. Carl Jung understood that the people who impact us most are often the ones who awaken hidden parts of ourselves. They do not create those emotions, they simply reveal what already exists beneath the surface. And when that happens, the defenses begin to weaken. The carefully created image of being strong, unaffected, and always in control starts to feel harder to maintain. The walls that once protected them begin to feel like the same walls keeping them away from something they deeply want. This is why their behavior can seem so confusing. The safer they feel with you, the more their old defenses may fight against that feeling. Not because you are the problem, but because you are reaching places inside them they have spent years protecting. Sometimes people create distance not because they feel nothing, but because they feel something powerful. And the deeper the connection becomes, the stronger the instinct to protect themselves may become. And this leads to the first reason they were drawn to you. You made them feel emotionally safe without making them feel controlled. This is something rare. Many people enter relationships carrying silent expectations. They want constant reassurance, proof, and certainty, and without realizing it, their energy can create pressure. But your presence felt different. You cared without overwhelming them. You showed warmth without demanding anything. You gave them space without making them feel forgotten. You offered closeness without making them feel trapped. For someone who has spent years protecting their emotions, this kind of connection can feel unfamiliar, even unsettling at first, because many guarded people learn to believe that love eventually comes with pain. They fear that closeness turns into control, and they worry that vulnerability will eventually be used against them. Maybe somewhere in their past, they learned that affection had conditions. Maybe expressing emotions led to rejection. Maybe trusting someone resulted in disappointment. So they adapted. They became careful. They became emotionally distant. They learned how to hide the parts of themselves that felt too vulnerable. Then you came into their life, and something about you challenged the emotional rules they had created. You did not force them to open up. You did not demand explanations every time they pulled back. You did not turn every moment of uncertainty into conflict. Instead, your presence communicated something powerful. I see you, and I am not here to control you. That feeling can reach deeper than words. It allows someone to slowly relax. It tells them that maybe they do not have to stay guarded forever. Sometimes they do not even understand why they feel different around you. They simply notice that they feel calmer, think about you when you are not there, and feel your absence more strongly than expected. Your presence brings a sense of comfort they cannot fully explain, and that is often how love begins. not always through dramatic moments or grand declarations, but through a quiet feeling of emotional recognition. But here is the part that confuses many people. The safer they feel with you, the more their old defenses may fight against that feeling. The deeper the connection becomes, the stronger the instinct to protect themselves may become. Their mind starts searching for reasons to slow down, step back, or regain control, because when something truly matters, the possibility of losing it feels much more frightening. Maybe you saw this pattern. Maybe when things started becoming closer, they became quieter. Maybe when emotions became stronger, they pulled away. Maybe it felt like they were fighting something invisible, and they were. But they were not always fighting you. They were fighting the emotions your presence awakened inside them. And now comes the second reason, the one most people never expect. They were drawn to you because you reflected back the parts of themselves they had hidden away. Carl Jung described this hidden side of ourselves as the shadow, the emotions, desires, and qualities we suppress because they feel too vulnerable to accept. The need for love, the desire to be understood, the wish to be cared for, the softer parts of ourselves we were taught to hide. Many people spend years creating an identity built around being strong, independent, logical, and emotionally controlled. Not because those qualities are false, but because they became protection. Then someone enters their life who reflects back the parts they buried, and that person may have been you. Your kindness challenged their emotional distance. Your honesty challenged their habit of hiding. Your ability to understand them revealed parts of themselves they thought no one would ever notice. You did not just make them feel seen, you made them feel understood. You saw beyond the surface. And for someone who has spent years hiding behind emotional walls, that experience can feel both deeply comforting and frightening at the same time. What happens when someone finally meets a person who can see beyond the mask they have spent years perfecting? What happens when another human being notices the emotions they tried to bury, the pain they never named, and the fragile parts of themselves they assumed would never be understood? That kind of visibility can feel like a gift, but it can also feel like a threat. To be truly seen is to lose the comfort of hiding behind familiar roles, behind the image of being strong, unaffected, independent, or always in control. Maybe you noticed how deeply they reacted to even the smallest things you said. Maybe certain words seemed to reach them in a way nothing else ever had. Perhaps you sensed the sadness beneath their confidence, the loneliness beneath their silence, or the vulnerability hidden under all that strength. Every time you touched one of those hidden places, something inside them stirred. Not because you were mistaken, but because you were right. Being accurately understood can overwhelm someone who has survived by staying invisible, because it forces them to confront the parts of themselves they have worked hardest to protect. This is often why they may have pulled away after moments of closeness. Not because the connection became weaker, but because it became stronger. You became a mirror, and mirrors do more than reflect beauty. They reveal what has been broken, what has been denied, and what has been waiting beneath the surface for far too long. Through knowing you, they may have begun to realize how lonely they truly were, how emotionally exhausted they had become, how much tenderness they secretly longed for, and how tired they were of pretending they did not need anyone. That realization can shake a person to the core, especially if they built their identity around being self-sufficient and untouchable. The ego loves control. It whispers, "Stay composed, stay guarded, do not depend on anyone, do not let anyone see your weakness." But love challenges all of that. Love softens. Love humbles. Love exposes the illusion that a person can remain untouched forever. And perhaps the most surprising thing for them was not simply that they were attracted to you, but that you reached places in them they had promised themselves no one would ever reach again. That is where the inner conflict begins. One part of them wants to move closer, while another part wants to run. One part feels relief, while another feels fear. One part dreams of opening their heart, while another worries about losing control completely. This battle inside them can create the kind of confusing behavior that leaves you questioning everything. Mixed signals, emotional distance, sudden silence, or moments of warmth followed by withdrawal. But those shifts do not always mean feelings are absent. Sometimes they mean feelings are colliding with unresolved wounds. Sometimes the person who feels the most is also the person who struggles the most to show it. Not because they do not care, but because caring makes them vulnerable. And vulnerability, for someone who has been hurt before, can feel like standing at the edge of a cliff. They may want closeness and still resist it. They may miss you and remain silent. They may long for connection and still create distance. It may not make logical sense, but emotionally, it can make perfect sense for someone whose past taught them that attachment leads to pain. And then there is the deeper reason they may have fallen for you. You awakened hope in them. Not fantasy, not obsession, but real emotional hope. This goes far beyond attraction or chemistry. At some point in life, many people quietly stop believing in meaningful connection. They keep living, smiling, working, and interacting, but somewhere inside they become emotionally tired. They lower their expectations. They stop believing anyone could truly understand them. They stop expecting a connection that reaches beyond the surface. They learn to survive by needing less. Then, unexpectedly, someone enters their life and changes something. A conversation feels different. A presence feels familiar. A connection feels strangely significant. And something that had been asleep begins to wake up. Suddenly, they begin imagining possibilities again. They begin wanting things they had convinced themselves they no longer needed. Warmth, belonging, emotional safety, a place where they can finally feel at home. That can feel dangerous for someone who has survived by staying detached, because hope changes everything. Hope opens the heart, and once the heart opens, emotional numbness becomes impossible. But here is the difficult truth. When hope returns, fear often returns with it, because hope creates something to lose. Now rejection matters. Now silence hurts. Now distance feels heavier. Now vulnerability has consequences. And this is where some emotionally wounded people sabotage the very connection they secretly want. Not because they do not desire love, but because they desire it so deeply that losing it feels unbearable. Sometimes people run from what they want most because wanting it makes them feel exposed. That is why someone can care about you and still create distance. They can think about you and still remain silent. They can want closeness and still resist it. And if you are wondering why they have not said what they feel, the answer may be that saying, "I love you," is not just a confession for them, it is surrender. It means admitting a truth they can no longer control. It means accepting that someone matters. It means allowing another person to have the power to affect them. For someone who has spent years protecting their heart, that kind of honesty can feel both terrifying and unforgettable. What happens when someone realizes that your presence has the power to affect them in ways they never expected? What happens when they understand that you can hurt them, heal them, and completely change the way they see themselves? This may be the most frightening realization of all, because some people do not delay expressing their feelings simply because they feel too little. They delay because they feel so much that admitting it would force them to confront everything they have spent years avoiding. They would have to face a truth they are not ready to say out loud. Loving you changed them. And perhaps that is the deepest reason behind everything you have felt from them. The intensity, the attraction, the hesitation, the moments that felt incredibly meaningful, followed by moments that felt painfully confusing. Change sounds beautiful when we speak about healing, growth, and transformation. But inside the human mind, real change often feels uncomfortable before it feels freeing. Transformation asks a person to release the version of themselves they have known for years, to loosen the grip of old defenses, and to stop relying on survival patterns that once protected them but no longer serve them. That process is rarely smooth. It can be messy, overwhelming, and deeply disorienting, and it can make someone appear distant even while they are experiencing profound emotional shifts within. So if you have been judging this connection only by what you can see on the outside, you may be missing what is happening beneath the surface. Many people believe love should immediately create clarity, but psychologically, that is not always true. Sometimes a meaningful connection creates confusion first because it brings unresolved emotions to the surface. Old fears return, past wounds become visible, trust issues appear. Feelings of rejection, abandonment, or insecurity may rise again, and even childhood experiences can quietly influence how someone responds to love as an adult. This is why two people can feel something powerful and still struggle to move toward each other. Love is not only about chemistry. Love also reveals the inner work a person has avoided. And when that unfinished emotional work appears, a person usually faces a choice: continue running from themselves or finally confront what has controlled them for years. This may be why you sensed something in their eyes that their words never expressed, because sometimes the body reveals what the mind tries to hide. A person's actions, reactions, and emotional energy can communicate things they are not ready to admit. Maybe you noticed the way they looked at you when they thought you were not paying attention. Maybe you noticed a change in their mood when someone else became close to you. Maybe you felt an unspoken tension during moments that seemed ordinary. Those moments may have revealed emotions they were struggling to understand themselves. But there is something important you need to remember, especially if you have spent a long time waiting, analyzing, hoping, and hurting. Their feelings may be real, their fears may be real, and their struggles may be real, but their healing is not your responsibility. This is where many caring people lose themselves. When you deeply understand someone's pain, your heart naturally wants to help. You want to love them enough to make them feel safe. You want to explain more, reassure more, wait longer, give more patience, and become everything they might need. But there is a difference between compassion and losing yourself. Loving someone should never require abandoning your own peace. Understanding someone's wounds should never mean accepting endless emotional inconsistency. Having empathy for someone's fears should never mean carrying the entire emotional weight of the relationship alone. And perhaps this is the message you needed to hear. This story is not only about why they were drawn to you, it is also about what this connection has revealed about you. Why did this affect you so deeply? Why did their silence hurt so much? Why did their inconsistency create such intense emotional reactions inside you? Sometimes the people who awaken us become mirrors too. Just as you reflected hidden parts of themselves back to them, they may have reflected hidden parts of yourself back to you. Maybe they touched your desire to be fully chosen. Maybe they awakened fears of being loved halfway. Maybe they revealed your longing for certainty, reassurance, and emotional security. Maybe they showed you how easily intense emotions can sometimes be confused with true emotional availability. That realization can be painful, but it can also be powerful, because awareness creates freedom. Carl Jung spoke about projection, the unconscious process of placing our unmet emotional needs onto another person. Sometimes we become attached not only to who someone truly is, but also to what they represent. They become the symbol of hope, the symbol of healing, the symbol of closure, the symbol of the love we have always wanted. But eventually, life asks a deeper question. What part of what you are searching for from them must first be created within yourself? That question can completely transform the way you see the connection. Because when you stop searching for emotional completion through another person, something changes. You become calmer. You become clearer. You become more grounded. You stop chasing certainty from someone who is uncertain. You stop analyzing every message, every pause, every silence, and every change in behavior. You stop shrinking yourself to make someone else comfortable with closeness. And this inner shift can transform the entire dynamic. Not because you are trying to manipulate someone, and not because distance is a strategy, but because self-respect changes your energy. Emotionally guarded people often notice pressure. They notice pursuit. They notice emotional dependency. But they also notice something else. They notice when someone stops abandoning themselves. They notice when someone becomes centered again. They notice when the person who once reached desperately for connection returns to their own strength. And that can become a turning point, because authenticity is powerful. If they were truly drawn to your emotional safety, your ability to reveal truth, and your ability to awaken hope, then the last thing you want to do is lose those qualities while trying to hold on to them. Stay warm, stay honest, stay compassionate, but stay connected to yourself, because real love cannot grow where self-betrayal exists. The greatest lesson may be this: you do not create healthy love by forcing someone to move toward you. You create space for love by remaining aligned with who you truly are. And that kind of truth has a quiet power. What if the greatest proof of love is not how tightly you hold on to someone, but how honestly you allow things to unfold? Because truth carries a different kind of energy. Truth says, I feel what I feel. Truth says, I will not deny the connection, but I will not lose myself trying to prove it. Truth says, I can love someone deeply without abandoning my own peace. That is the kind of energy that changes everything, because it is rooted not in fear, but in self-respect. It does not beg, chase, or force. It simply stands in what is real and allows reality to reveal itself in its own time. If they are truly confronting the emotional walls they have built for years, there may come a moment when avoiding their feelings becomes harder than facing them. Suppressed emotions do not simply disappear. They return in quieter, more persistent ways, through thoughts they cannot dismiss, memories they cannot erase, dreams they cannot control, or sudden waves of sadness they cannot explain. A person can suppress their actions, hide their words, and distract themselves with endless noise, but genuine emotion is much harder to silence. The heart keeps speaking, especially in silence, especially at night, especially when they are alone with their own thoughts. That may be when your absence feels strongest. That may be when they remember the conversations, the comfort, the safety, the way hope seemed to return when you entered their life. And eventually, if they become honest with themselves, they may reach a point where avoiding the connection feels more painful than being vulnerable. That is often where transformation begins, not when love suddenly appears, but when running away becomes more exhausting than staying present. And this is something many people misunderstand. You cannot force another person's awakening. You cannot make someone face emotions they are not ready to confront. But you can stop standing in the way of their growth by constantly protecting them from the consequences of their own avoidance. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is allow someone to experience the reality of emotional distance, not as punishment, not as revenge, but as truth. Because growth requires honesty, and honesty sounds like this. I care about you. I understand your fears. I see your struggles. But I cannot heal what only you can heal. That is love with boundaries. That is compassion without self-abandonment. That is emotional maturity. And for anyone who has loved deeply, waited patiently, and carried the weight of uncertainty, this may be one of the hardest lessons to accept. Sometimes love is real and still not ready. We want intense feelings to guarantee a future. We want deep connection to automatically create commitment. But connection alone does not build a relationship. Love must eventually become action. It must become courage. It must become honesty. It must become a willingness to show up. Without those things, even the most powerful connection can remain trapped in possibility, and possibility can become one of the most painful places to live. Almost love can stay in the heart for years. Almost connection can keep someone waiting. Almost confession can keep hope alive without giving it a place to grow. That is why clarity matters, not forced clarity from another person, but inner clarity from yourself. Ask yourself, am I loving from strength or am I holding on from fear? Am I honoring what I feel while also honoring what I deserve? Am I waiting because I feel peaceful or because I am afraid to let go? These questions matter because healing does not always mean forgetting someone. Sometimes healing means accepting that a connection was meaningful without allowing uncertainty to consume your life. Sometimes healing means caring about someone while releasing control over their timing. Sometimes healing means trusting that what is truly meant for you does not require desperation. And if this person truly loves you, one thing remains true. Real love eventually moves toward truth. Maybe not immediately, maybe not perfectly, maybe not in the exact way you imagined. But what is genuine cannot remain hidden forever. Eventually, denial becomes exhausting. Eventually, the heart grows tired of pretending. Eventually, the mask becomes too heavy to carry. The defenses begin to soften. The truth begins to rise. And if that moment comes, it will not happen because you chased harder. It will happen because they finally became ready to stop running from themselves. That is the part many people miss. This connection may have never been only about romance. It may have also been about awakening, for them and for you. Perhaps they entered your life to teach you the difference between loving someone and losing yourself in them. Perhaps you entered theirs to awaken a heart they had buried beneath years of protection. Perhaps this connection was meant to reveal something important in both of you, because sometimes the greatest relationships are not only about finding another person. Sometimes they are about finding a deeper version of yourself.